Hi. Sorry if I pause mid-video, but it's 4 in the morning, so it's basically my prime time, and I have the windows open, and I'm suffering heavily from pollen. So I may cut the video in between talking, so I can take a sip or do this one. And two rooms over, my girlfriend is sleeping, and I will, as I said, I will cut the video if I'm thinking, because what I'm going to tell you is it was life-changing for me, and I wanted to share that because I've seen more and more people share about these things, and it's just for communication purposes. If you watched some of my videos, then you might be interested in it. Usually I make videos about games, programming, or my opinions, but today I wanted to do a video about myself. And as you can hear, I often need time to think between sentences. You often hear this when I do videos about gaming and not about programming, because when I'm programming, I have control over when I'm writing, but a video game requires constant attention and attention span, and the capacity to play games for longer periods of time is also a topic of this of this video. Yeah, and what I'm essentially saying, I am not neurotypical. If you haven't come across this term, it means my brain is wired differently, and not just a little bit differently, and I'm not trying to be different. I am different, and depending on the situation, this can be a problem or an advantage. As at least some of you know, I'm a programmer, and in terms of programming, being non-neurotypical is an advantage. And I'm trying to be correct here, I am probably on the autism spectrum. In classic terms, I have Asperger's. That I'm different was never something new to me. I always had a great knowledge about random things that didn't matter in your daily life at all. In kindergarten, I was called the professor, and sometimes it was meant as a nice thing, sometimes it didn't. And it's a thing that goes through my life. I couldn't adapt to society or the social groups I found myself in very easily. It was mentally draining. It's still mentally draining, and it's it got worse over the years because I didn't have those big problems when I was a kid. So you wouldn't immediately see me as an autistic person when I was a kid. I was playing with other kids. I was running around. But I had absolutely no problem spending hours upon hours playing with playing alone, and with the stranger toys, where other kids didn't found anything interesting in. So just stacking a bunch of wood. It's wood pieces of wood. It's pieces of wood in brick form, like about this big, and I made very high towers in kindergarten, and yeah, it was fulfilling for me. Just ignoring everything else and focusing on just one thing. It's, for a lot of people, these tasks are monotonous, but since my brain is wired to be extremely sensitive, what is always the same thing is very looks for me very different. So like how should I say it? Yeah, it's really the best example. Just stacking bricks. Stacking bricks can be extremely boring theoretically, but I can do stupid tasks like that for hours upon hours. And am I extremely analytical? I was often told to overanalyze things, and that's what got me into, yeah, it got me into programming, because yeah, you can't create an algorithm without analyzing something, and if you're good with analyzing, then yeah, you just learn a bunch faster. But it also meant for me that I'm constantly over-analyzing social situations. So yeah, you might leave your friends, you visited your friends, sat in a group, just talked a little bit, and yeah, I'm going home and going over the conversation over and over and over and over, and did I say the wrong thing here? Did I say the right thing here? I got better over the years, and in free talking like this, but it's still very hard. And I had like a switch point in my life when I was about 18, about my 18th birthday around or something. Yeah, just to tell a little side story. On my 18th birthday, I took my mountain bike and rode my mountain bike for about, I think it should be around 60-70 kilometers from where I used to live in Mannheim, and into the nearest mountains. I visited a church ruin, and then I drove back, and that was my 18th birthday. And as you can see, a lot of things are very different about me and my life. And with my autism comes the usual hypersensitivity of light, sound, touch, and in my case also emotions. So watching a Disney movie is like emotional suicide for me. I'm completely done for the day. If I watch a Disney movie, it's like a 1 day task. I sit down, I watch a Disney movie, and the rest of the day is, it's basically gone emotionally. I just sit down and watch a monotonous YouTube video, someone playing a strategy game for like 4 hours or something, or just hear music. I'm not even able to read something. And reading got a lot harder for me in the recent years. And I can't really concentrate on what I'm talking about. So if I switch topics when I'm talking, that's not really. It's scatterbrain, but it's not something that's part of my character. It's part of this differently wired brain. So if you watched some of my other videos, you might have seen that my face is almost all the time making the same expression. When I laugh and I'm happy, you usually see this in my mouth region, but the upper half of my face is almost always the same. Like you see little wrinkles on the side here, but it's just pushed up. That's just skin that's pushed up from my mouth. So it's really it's really frustrating for other people when they interact with me, because you almost never have an idea how I'm feeling. I could be sad. I could be moments before crying. I could be very happy. I could be concentrating. I could be tired. And people who aren't very perceptive will probably never find out how I'm feeling in the moment. What you often can do to figure out how I'm feeling is just listen to my voice and not to my face, because I almost never use my face to express myself, but I'm putting quite an effort into expressing my emotions through my voice. So if I'm talking very monotonously, I think it depends on where you're from, then you know I'm tired and I don't have much I call it capacity or energy, however you want to call it, to do an act. So if you are a little bit knowledgeable about Asperger's and autism, it's often called masking. You're setting up a mask and you present that mask to other people. You're making often great effort, sometimes effort that pays off literally. These people get a lot of money for just that ability to pretend to be someone else. I'm quite good myself in changing my voice, changing my speaking patterns. I pick up languages quite fast, not super fast like other people, but quite fast, because I'm really good at imitating. And I'm not really good at imitating. I'm good at analyzing what I see and what I hear. And if you give me enough sample data, I can imitate it. And that's the same thing I do as a programmer. I'm not really a very creative person, but if you give me you give me a starting point and you give me an end point, and you say and you tell me, okay, figure out everything in between, then that's basically my job, and I think at least that I'm really good at, because that's how I learned English, and I think my English is pretty good by now. And if you speak English and can listen to English, so you should be able to understand this video. So this sentence was unnecessary. But at one point I had to get this out of my system. Just a few examples from my daily life. You might have, when I made videos about myself, you might have often seen me in these clothes here. It's an, don't know what it's called, it's an kind of undergarment for my jacket. I have the 2-layered jacket where the outer part is against rain and against strong wind, and the inner part is to keep you warm. And I've worn this exact piece of clothing for, I think now about should have been 5 or 6 years now, I think, maybe even longer. Yes, I'm washing it, but not that often, not as often as I should, because it just doesn't smell. And and that's another thing. As I said, I'm very sensitive to touch, so just going with my hand through my beard can in some places be almost painful for me. So I'm extremely sensitive. Just at this moment, I'm experiencing pain just from sitting down. I have the wrong sitting posture, and if you're watching this, I assume you might as well sit in the wrong posture at the moment. So correct it. It's it will do you good in the long term. And so I'm almost never sitting comfortably, and so the thing about being sensitive to light is a thing that makes me often look angry. You might have seen or recognized that the top of my eyes, so my whole bone structure is like my eyes are a little bit set into my skull, and my bone structure is pronounced, I think is the word. And this can make me, with a certain lighting conditions, can make me look angry. And I can almost assure you that if you think I'm angry, I'm probably not angry, because I'm very rarely really angry. Because I'm not an angry person, I'm a sensitive person. So the probability for me to be angry is really low, but the probability for me to be scared is much higher. So what you are at the moment not seeing, maybe you see it, it's a little bit grainy, the picture, and it's a little bit maybe a little bit dark, but what I want to show you is what my face looks like with at least somewhat proper lighting. So I have dimmable lights in here, and I have hung my my light bulbs quite high up in the room. I have quite a high ceiling in my room, and I'm sorry, I'm not looking in the camera, I'm looking at a recording, because I have this compulsion to always check myself, and it can be really annoying if you're a watcher of this video and not only a listener. So let me turn on. So this is about the lighting that people usually have in their rooms, and this is what I usually have. Yes, the camera is correcting for the lighting for you, so you don't see how dim it is in here, but yes, without the camera correction, this is about the lighting that usually people have in their rooms. And I often sit with the face down, so I use my pronounced part of my bone structure to protect my eyes from light that's coming from above. So what I'm often doing when you see me outside is walking like this, and it might be that I look really angry when I'm looking like this at you, but people are confused when I then just walk by and greet them like hello, like a really nice, I try to make a higher pitched soft voice to, well, not scare them off too badly, but I often seem to look very angry, and I walk quite hunched often, especially outside when it's quite bright outside, because usually I would look like this. If I sit in with a normal posture, I sit like this, and if I sit like this, light gets into my eye, and it's at the moment it's just a little bit annoying, but if it's sunlight or a little bit more light, it gets into the realms of being painful. So what was the lighting setting? 1, 2, 3. Yes, it's I have this little dimmable light, and yeah. So my life is basically living in darkness. That's also a reason why my channel is called Operation Darkside, because I operate on the dark side, and that's not meant in a cringy way. That's meant in a literal way. I live in the dark, and to be honest, I really like it. So also, since I think I have quite normal eyes or ordinary eyes, from a sensitivity point here, but my brain is extremely sensitive to light, so it's I don't like high contrasts, so driving at night is really challenging, especially with the newer lights coming out that are basically like the high beams of decades past. So high beams in the 90s is like usual car lights in the 2020s. And that's also, but I have to drive at night often, because since I'm so sensitive to a lot of things and I'm constantly analyzing the situation I'm in, that means that I have to drive at hours where few people are on the street and in their cars, and that's usually almost around midnight. I mean, the best day is, I think, Monday at 2 or 3 a.m. I once drove at this time over an highway, and it was great. I think, driving with 70 kilometers per hour on a highway where usually if you're driving slower than 120, a guy with high beams and with a honking is behind you. It was great. So I go shopping at night. Luckily, in the last few years, I think it's about in the last decade or so, some supermarkets are open until 24. It's what is it, 24 o'clock? I don't know how you call 24 hours in English. That was a real blessing for me, but it's really hard on my girlfriend because she has a normal sleep schedule, so she usually goes to bed at 23 o'clock, and luckily I work flexi time, and flexi time for me means I usually go to bed at 3 to 4 a.m. and wake up at 11:30, about 11:30, and I spend a lot of time in the darkness, and that's not only the reason because of my light sensitivity, because you could say just put down the shades and here you have darkness. That's not really the problem. I'm, as I said, very sensitive to almost everything, so it's light, hear, touch, and I don't mean touch, someone touches me or I touch me or my clothes touch me. It's vibrations, and I live in a slightly rural area, and just outside my window is it's quite a busy street. It wasn't so busy 10 years ago, but it's now quite busy, and since I'm in a rural area, a lot of tractors drive by, and it's these are the really big John Deere tractors, so it's like 2 to 3 times the height of a usual car types of tractor, and they are speeding along. I mean it's 30 kilometers an hour out there, but it's Germany. Nobody cares about speed limits. So they're about 50. I mean, I don't know how many tons one of these weigh. 3, 4, 5 tons. I have no idea. And if they are driving with their I don't know what it's called, that the thing that you attach behind a big puller. But these are mostly made of steel and only loosely attached, so if they drive by, the whole house shakes, and no matter how good my noise cancelling headphones are, you hear the shaking and rattling and all stuff from there. Then I have new neighbors that have a lot of kids and are, let's say, they're very vocal. And they do that until 10 or 11 p.m. I don't know why they let their kids that are probably not even in school, in elementary, they should be about kindergarten age, and they are out playing outside until 11. I mean, I'm not a parent, it's not for me to decide, but it's quite annoying because I also don't have air conditioning, and I'm also very sensitive to temperature. Yes, this video is me for I don't know how long this video will be, but it will be a lot of whining on my side. At least it will probably seem that way, but I'm just describing my situation. I hope, at least. Yeah, I'm very sensitive to temperature. So since I'm living on the countryside and I'm living in a valley, that means it's quite cold at night, which I'm thankful for, but also extremely humid. So we recently have had mold, quite a lot of it, and it was a pain to get rid of it, and it came back and we had to get rid of it again, and we probably need to call an expert to look at it. But what I'm saying is during the hot hours with about 3 p.m. I think it's between 2 to 5 p.m. It's the hottest hours here, because then the sun shines into our valley. It can reach, it's Germany, it's about 30 degrees. It's much hotter down in in Mannheim and stuff, but at night it can go down, especially in August and September, down to 10 degrees. So you have sometimes a temperature difference between 15, sometimes even 20 degrees centigrade. And that's not something and I can endure easily. I can endure it, that's not a problem, but everybody has their breaking point. So if I need to endure it, that's the only thing I can do for that day. Just sitting around and enduring it. I'm not able to work. I'm not able to do household chores. That all doesn't happen just because I need to endure some simple things like temperature change. It's easy for others, it's really hard for me. I often see my uncle working outside. It's 80% or more in humidity and 35 degrees centigrade outside, and he's happily working in the garden. And work like that, I think it wouldn't kill me, but I would feel very, very bad. And that would something like that is, yes, I can do it once, but then I'm out for a few days, so doing nothing. What that means is, since I don't have an air conditioner, at night I'm venting the whole house, at least my story, and during the day, when the sun's out, when it gets hot, I close everything down, the shades go down, and I just sit in here inside and try to wait for the night, because it's fucking bright outside during the day. If it's sunny, I open the house door, and I'm basically blind. It's not like everything is white outside of my outside of the house. It's just too bright. I go outside and I need like at least 10 minutes to get accustomed to it, and then it's still uncomfortable. And uncomfortable, I don't mean a little bit uncomfortable and you can push through. No, I need to wear shades or just go inside because it's too bright. That's why I like rainy days. So that might also be a bit of a misconception, that some people like rainy days, they like the night hours, but it I don't know of any statistics, but it can really be just part of a differently wired brain, and that's also why I'm awake at the moment 4:30 in the morning on a Sunday, because I need the time to how should I put it, to regain my energy. So sleeping is often not enough for me. I have sleep apnea. I don't know what it's how it's pronounced in English. It's it just means I stop breathing when I'm sleeping, and that's not good for you if you didn't figure that out for yourself. And that means often my sleep is not very resting, so I wake up and I'm still tired. That can for some people be no problem at all, because just a cup of coffee and you're fine. And for other people, that means they are effectively unfunctional as a person, because sleeping is not giving them any rest, and that means you feel that tired for the entire day. That's also a thing I only found out recently. I have a little thingy that I can put on my finger that will wake me up. It's like this thing here. It measures my blood oxygen level while I'm sleeping and wakes me up if the blood oxygen level gets too low. But it's only a temporary solution. I will go for surgery in any way possible, because I want this problem solved long term. It's also a problem when I have my pollen allergy. It's far worse now. My throat feels like someone is trying to strangle me. It's just clogged up with slime, and I can't get that slime out at the moment. It feels awful, to be honest, to always have something at the back of your throat and not being able to get rid of it. Yeah. And to another topic, what I thought was social anxiety is not really social anxiety. I'm not afraid of other people. I'm not afraid of interacting with other people, or that they would do harm to me, at least a little bit, because people harm me a lot and they don't know it, but I can't fault them for it, because they don't often know what it means to be me. They don't know what it means to be sensitive, and I'm fully aware that I'm oversensitive in the eyes of a neurotypical or a normal person, or your everyday Joe, as they say it in America. Yeah, but if you are someone that knows me personally, I'm sorry if I haven't contacted you in a while, or if I'm not reacting to your messages, but it's really draining for me to do basic social interactions. And it's just like going outside and enduring brightness and humidity and temperature. Sometimes socially interacting is the only thing I can do for that day. So if we have, say, like 2 to 3 meetings at a company, I'm usually done for. I don't know, I feel like neurotypical people are exactly the other way around. They are actively trying to create more meetings than that are necessary. A lot of meetings, there's a saying, this meeting could have been an email, and I'm seeing that every day because of the corona pandemic. A lot of people are lacking social interaction. It's a blessing in disguise for me, but for them it's, at least it seems horrible for them, because they, and it's also a problem for me. I'm too honest and direct. In my eyes, this looks like an addiction. The ways that people go, things that people do just for social interaction, looks to me like an addict. They do everything to get their fix. They ignore other people's, not only just desires, they ignore other people's needs just to get their social fix. I think in terms of let's say recent events, the rise of social media is, in my opinion, one part of it. But that's another topic. What I'm trying to say is, I'm just going off the rails again and rambling. But socially interacting is harder and harder for me. It was okay when I was a kid, because as a kid you're mentally quite flexible and your brain is flexible. That's not something I pulled out of my nose, or it's scientifically proven that kids are flexible, and often a lot of neuroatypical people have less problems and are not as error prone when they were kids. But I really felt it when I became 18. My memory often just failed me. I forgot the names of people that are standing in front of me. People that I knew for sometimes decades. It's like, who's that guy? It happens to everyone, but it happens very frequently to me. Memorizing names, especially names, is extremely hard for me. And also a thing that seemingly a lot of, or yes, autism, Asperger's, however you want to call it, people have is face blindness. It's I always try to be as precise as I can, but in this case I can't be precise. I don't think I have face blindness in a way that other people have it, but I can try to describe it how it is for me. For me, it is like I try to remember the face of, say, like my girlfriend. I see her every day. I recognize her without a problem, but I can't for the life of me imagine her face. It's like I'm trying to imagine her face, but it's not really a face. It's just blurry, and I don't mean visually blurry. They're like the Photoshop filter. It's like a bit like warped, but not really warped also in a Photoshop filter sense. It's just like little parts of her face are lighting up. So okay, that's her cheeks, that's her nose, that's her mouth, that's her forehead, but it's never the whole face. I attribute that to my brain's problem with the bigger picture. I often lose the bigger picture. That's why when I talk to myself like this, I can't follow a red string of conversation. I'm just jumping from topic to topic, and my brain is obsessed with details, so I can't imagine a whole face. I also can't imagine like the typical thing. I forgot the name for that illness. Aphantasia. I don't think I have it, but I'm extremely close to aphantasia, because I can't imagine a whole apple. The typical thing is try to imagine an apple, try to imagine how it exactly how it looks like. What color does it have? Is it shiny? Does it have a trunk on the top? I don't know what it's called, the little brown thing that goes out of an apple. Yeah, I couldn't tell you that if I tried to imagine one. And especially I can't imagine a generic apple. So I can't just imagine an apple. I can maybe imagine a green apple. I can imagine one of these multicolored apples that are partly yellow, partly red or something. And I also can't imagine colors. I don't see colors in my head. What I think would be the most correct way of saying it, I think in concepts or in details. So I can say, okay, this apple is red, or if I remember something, I can say the name of the color, but I don't imagine the color itself. So if I see, for example, a building that is colored in a way that I don't know the name of the color, I couldn't tell you what type of color it is. So there are these people that see a color once and they go into a paint shop where you can buy wall paint, and they tell the guy at a store exactly what type of color it is, and if they have the color wheel, they can exactly say, okay, it's this one. I can't do that because it is in my head, it is red, and there's just one red. Yeah, and another thing is just switching topics again. I'm sorry. I have a huge problem with identity. I heard that other people on the spectrum do have problem with their gender. So you see, you shouldn't generalize. Not everybody that identifies with a different gender is on some kind of spectrum, but it seems that there is a significant overlapping between people on the or and a spectrum. It can also be an ADHD spectrum, that are on that identify with a different gender. I don't have to have that. Let's say, for some people it's not a problem. For some people it is. I'm not in that category. I'm in a completely different category. That I don't identify with what you see right in front of you. So the picture that you are currently seeing of me doesn't feel like me. So if I look in the mirror, that guy doesn't feel like me. It looks like a stranger looks at me. Well, I mean, I'm currently with this stranger that looks at me in the mirror for over 30 years now, so it doesn't really look that strange anymore, but it just doesn't feel like me. I've talked to my girlfriend a lot about that recently, and what it is, what is best described as, I have less of a me than other people, probably. So what that means is I don't identify with my name. If you don't know it, it's on websites. I had it as a Twitter handle for a long time. My name is, at least in German, Sebastian Kreis. In English it's Sebastian, however you wanted to pronounce it, Kreis, Grease, whatever. That's not my name. And if you are, don't be freaked out about that. It's how should I put it? It's not shocking for me, because I lived my whole life with this and with this feeling that is a name, yes, but that's not my name. I don't have a name because there is no me. And if you're not on some kind of mind-altering drugs right now, this should be very confusing to you. I assume, at least, if you're not in a similar situation like me. But what it also means is I have more of a connection with the world, at least with the outside world, like objects, like inanimate objects, and plants, than other people. I assume that a lot of people that are called tree huggers, not the scientifically and rational people that are ecologists or preservatists that try to preserve nature or something. I mean the literal tree huggers, guys or girls that go into the woods and hug trees. I kind of understand those people, and I don't think that's a sign of being crazy. That's just a sign of being different. Um, I mean, probably some people weren't born like that and they are tree huggers because they took certain drugs, probably the likes of LSD and that kind of region of mind-altering drugs. But yeah, I have more of a connection with the world. So if I see, for example, a tool misused, I wouldn't say I feel physically. I feel physical pain. I feel uncomfortable. Sometimes quite uncomfortable. If I see a perfectly fine working smartphone and someone just doesn't care about it and throws it around in the room, the typical thing is throwing your smartphone onto the bed, and instead of landing on the bed, it lands in front of the bed on the ground, or smashes against the wall or something. That is really, really frustrating for me, because I have more of a connection with that object than other people, it seems. On the other side, I don't care about animals like other people do. I find them quite confusing. They are, yeah, I would say animals like dogs or cats are, for me, on the same level like kids. I mean, below elementary school, they are confusing for me and not distracting. What's the word? More disturbing. Yeah, because like an untrained dog, little kids that are, I don't want to say not well behaved, because kids need to play, and I scientifically know that kids need to laugh, they need to shout, they need to run around, they need to scream. It's part of being a kid and part of having a good childhood. But it's very annoying for me. Just like a dog that's not trained and is barking all day. My neighbors had a dog that was, every waking hour of this dog was spent barking. He barked at everything. I don't know why. I think the dog had mental issues because it was caged up, not physically in a cage, but he was spent all his life in that little garden there. He's dead by now. I'm quite relieved about that, and I had thinner windows back then. It was very annoying because no matter the time of day, he continued barking. Yeah, so I have more an emotional connection with a stone you find on the street than maybe with a cat or a dog. I don't think that makes me a psychopath, because they, I think, sometimes have a similar connection, that they don't reflect emotions from what they are seeing. But for me, it's quite the other way around. I get too many emotions. That's also, I think, a misconception about people with Asperger's or on the autism spectrum, that we don't feel emotions from other people. At least for my case, it's quite the opposite. So if someone is a little happy, that creates the emotion of a lot of happiness in me. So I see a smiling face, I feel almost overwhelmingly happy. If I see a sad face, or see a kid crying, or I watch the news and I see someone sitting on the rubble of his house and is halt very emotionally distressed, then I'm very distressed. I'm extremely distressed. But that's a thing that people on the don't see from the outside, because that doesn't reflect on my face. My face always looks the same. Almost always looks the same. I don't express these emotions because I don't know how, and I can't form an appropriate response. That's often how it is termed. That I feel these emotions. I have these emotions. I have too many of them. They overwhelm me, but I can't figure out how to probably react to these emotions. So if I have someone in front of me that is crying, I feel sad, or it's less of a feeling of sadness. I feel some kind of pain, but I have no idea how to console that person. It's I have trained some mechanisms how to handle crying or sad people, but it is often not what they need. It's just a trained thing for me. For example, my girlfriend is crying for whatever reason. The only thing I can do is to hug her, because I can't figure out what she needs. And that's even more so with other people, like someone lost a relative or a good friend. Yeah. It sounds harsh, but I really don't care if someone gets, but it's the opposite around all the same. If someone gets married, someone had a great vacation, someone just had a kid. I mean, if I see the person happy that they got married, I feel happiness. But I really don't care that that person just got married. And I only recently figured out that this is not normal. And if you do feel sad for me, don't. Because, it's not that I don't reflect the happiness of the person, but I can't make the connection between what the person is happy about with the happiness that the person is feeling. That might be a little complex for starters, but that is part of my life. Another thing that some might know about me, some don't. I was in therapy multiple times in my life, and just recently my recent therapist recognized that I could be on the autism spectrum. Then I googled a bunch, watched a lot of videos about Asperger's, and found out, yep, that's me. Not just a little bit, it's me. And I was, before by the other therapists, I was in therapy for depression, for burnout. and before that I had a child therapist that should therapy me. Can you therapy someone? Whatever. That therapy me about my family situation. It's also quite complicated. Well, not really. It's really typical, but it was complicated for me. And nobody detected my Asperger's or my autism. And every therapist thought, yeah, that sounds like depression. But yeah, it was depression. But with the typical methods, I couldn't. How should I put it? So depression is often, it is hard if you have it, but it can be treated quite easily. It takes a long time, but it is treated quite easily. Because the best things about treating depression is just get them to have a normal life. For a neurotypical person, that is quite easy. It can be aided with medication if the depression is not too heavy, but it can be done without medication. It's often just the case that these people with depression just don't know what depression is and what causes it. So you have a little counseling, and if the reason for the depression is not too hard, then you don't even need medication. You need to motivate them and get the family involved to get them to live a normal life again, like have regular exercise. Regular exercise is one of the best treatments for depression and a lot of other illnesses. And have social interacting, and maybe cut off some friends or family in life that are toxic to them, and that's often it. That's often all it takes. But in my case, I got medication. I was on several different pills, and it didn't really seem to work. And my therapist said that he couldn't tell my health insurance company that further therapy would be necessary, although I felt terrible. Where was I? What was the point I was trying to make? Therapist. Yes, the reason for my depression was that I was trying to live the life of a neurotypical person. And as I found out recently, as I said, I'm not neurotypical. So I need a fundamentally different lifestyle. As you can see, these are new headphones. If you used to watch my older videos, these are noise cancelling headphones, and to every, I think almost every person on the spectrum, if you don't, and if you have some money to spare, buy some. Noise cancelling headphones make life so much easier and much less draining. It's shouting, crying neighbors, street noise, and I have a very quiet PC, but it still has some fans in it, and these were annoying me from time to time. Just the little quiet fans that are under my desk, not directly beside me, under my desk, going back to my bed. So they are really, really quiet, but I'm still very annoyed by them. Or if I have what is called a fan, if I have a fan running outside, like airing out the my story at night, yeah, that's really annoying. That I can't fully concentrate. But with these headphones, it makes everything so much easier. Then with the headphones, I also bought a weighted blanket. In my whole life of over 30 years, I never heard of a weighted blanket. Just a blanket that is heavy. That's just it. It's a ordinary blanket that has some glass beads in it, and it's quite heavy. So it's a usually sized blanket, and it weighs 9 kilograms. What's this? 4.5 pounds or something, or 5 pounds. And this was also life changing. I would have never thought then a heavy, just a stupidly heavy blanket could be so relaxing. I'm often stressed when I come home, because if you live where I live, a car is a must. You can take a bike, yes, but just going grocery shopping with a bike is, if you go there, it's downhill for like 15 minutes, and then you buy a lot of heavy stuff and you have to bike it uphill. I mean, it's great training, but it's not for every day. So you need a car if you live here, and driving with a car is extremely draining on my capacity levels, as I said earlier. And I again forgot what I was trying to say. Yeah, weighted blanket. Yes, when I come home from driving with a car, no matter where I drove or something, like driving for work is, I think, about 45 minutes for me. Thanks to Corona, I'm working from home, but back then I had to drive 45 minutes to my workplace, and in the evening back, and it was so hard on me. It was like I go to work and nothing else. I mean, I had the usual 40-hour-a-week job with 80 hours a day. But those 8 hours and the commuting, it was hell for me. Because you get up, have breakfast, drive to work as good as I can, drive home, and the day is done. And not like other people, okay, you can do some chores, you can cook for yourself or something. No, the day is done. I couldn't visit friends with these energy levels. I couldn't have a meaningful conversation with my girlfriend. Cooking for myself was, and is still, not that hard anymore, but it was very hard back then. I was eating almost the same every day. I made rice, fish, and vegetables. Most of that is frozen, just throwing it into a pan, into a deep pan, and cooking it out. It was very easy to cook, and it had enough in it to get me through the evening and to the next rest of the day. But yeah, coming home, cooking, sitting down, watching YouTube videos. I couldn't even if you're a long time watcher of this channel, I used to play video games. Until recently, I couldn't play video games anymore, because even on the weekend, I didn't have enough mental capacity to just play a stupid, simple game. Even something like Tetris or one of those match 3 games that are not really complicated in itself. I mean, yes, they can get complicated, but they are simple games. They are not strategy games. They are not tactical shooters where you have to coordinate with other people. It's just, really stupid, simple games that I liked to play. I couldn't play them anymore just because I went to work. And yeah, that was usually for me on a Friday. Sleeping from Friday to Saturday was usually above 10 hours of sleep. And it's still often today, even with adjusted working times and so on. Usually Friday to Saturday is above 10 hours of sleep. Recently I slept, I think, 12 to 13 hours straight. Went to bed, woke up 12 to 13 hours later. I didn't get up in between and did something and then got back into bed. No, I just slept 12 hours. And for ordinary people that are sometimes sleeping 6 hours and are well rested and can spend that time that they don't sleep productively, or at least in a way that is entertaining to them. I don't know if you can imagine what it means to regularly sleep more than 10 hours a day. And that's not something I had before, I think, my 14th or 15th birthday. But back then, I can remember times when I was 17, 18, 19. On a weekend, I usually slept between 11 and 13 hours. And back then I just thought, yeah, then that's fine. I didn't wonder too much about when I told someone I sleep usually 10 hours a day if I don't have to get up in the morning. They usually looked funny. I didn't give it much thought. Now I know it's just the life of an ordinary person. It's so extremely draining for me that I sleep on a usual weekday as much as an ordinary person would after heavy exercise. And not a little exercise. I'm talking about partying hard or running a half marathon or running a marathon. Just that makes me sleep for 10 to 12 hours. And sometimes even more. I have records of sleeping up to 16 hours. So if you're bad with math, I can tell you that a usual day has about 24 hours. And if you sleep 16 of them, about 8 hours are left. that might sound like a lot, but you might be forgetting that you are usually also eating. Eating is important as a human, if you didn't know. And if you don't eat too fast, and showering is recommendable, and other necessities like clothing, maybe some chores. Yes, sleeping 16 hours and some eating, some showering, some other fun stuff, and the day is done. No friends, no homework if you're young, no actual work if you're older. Yeah, that was it for me for a very long time, and that was also during the phase when I was not working. I wasn't studying during my depression phase. I did literally do absolutely nothing all day. I just sat around, watched YouTube videos, ate, showered, went to bed. And I still slept up to 12 hours. And I did absolutely nothing. I didn't even go shopping. I didn't leave the house. And still today, I sometimes don't leave the house for an entire week. And I still sleep over 10 hours. If I don't set an alarm clock or something. And yeah, I never knew why. Now I know it's just because an ordinary day is extremely draining for me. And yeah, I think for an ordinary person it's hard to imagine, and I'm not fishing for any sympathy, to be clear here. And I'm not all too emotional right now. So yeah, if you can't see it, I'm not too emotional right now, because it's more relieving that it is a problem at the moment, because I know what the problem is now. Usually when you're a programmer, you have a problem, a bug in your code, and then you debug your code. And what it is to do for me now, and if you know me personally and I have contacted you, that is the reason why I am just debugging my life right now. And I have fixed some issues, not all of them, but some of them were hot fixes, just like that little thing that wakes me up when I stop breathing at night. That's a hot fix. That's not a solution. That's technology I can't rely for the rest of my life. Yeah, that needs surgery. Oh yeah, and I get sick very often. I have bowel issues. You could really say my bowel is fucked. What I mean with that, if I go to the toilet, unexpected things happen. For people that are a bit sensitive about this topic. Also, my body produces a lot of, I don't know why, but a lot of, you could call it bodily fluids. That means what you usually see in the media of being a gross person. I used to have a lot of pimples, acne, not some, but a lot. I still have scars from it on my upper back, like white dots where you see there were really big pimples. I still have a very oily face, and not a little bit oily. I often need to wipe my face not multiple times a day, multiple times, just to get the oil off. My body produces a lot of earwax. I know it's gross, I'm sorry, but yeah, that's my life. I had very often ear infections because of this. Ear channel infections, not middle ear infection. Those are much more painful. I know now how to prevent them. I need to clean my ears every single day thoroughly. My fingernails grow at a faster pace than other people's. My hair, head hair and facial hair grow faster than other people's. That's why I have a very simple hairstyle, and that's why I have a beard. This beard is not for it's not a statement or anything, it's just practical. I don't want to shave 3 times a day. I know some people do that, but I don't have the time or motivation to shave 3 times a day. And that's why everybody notices the difference between no facial hair and a beard that's about 1 to 2 millimeters long. But nobody recognizes the difference between a beard that is 1.5 centimeters and 1.6 centimeters. Nobody sees that. Yeah, that's why I have a beard. It's just a time-saving measure. Yeah, that's also a thing. If you may, some of you may see it with a more trained eye, that this is not a great hairstyle, I think it's called, because I do my own hair. What I mean, I haven't visited a barber or visited a hairdresser in about a decade, because a hairdresser is, because I'm so sensitive, is pretty hellish, because I go to a place just to remove hair, and that's another thing. I have less of a me. I don't have a connection to my body like other people do. I don't care how I look like. These days some men use makeup or do their hair properly or have a special style beard or something. I don't have a connection to my body. This doesn't feel like it is my body. It's basically just a vessel that I use to roam this reality. I know it sounds stupid, but it feels like it. So I just go to the hairdresser to remove hair, nothing else. Don't do any fancy snipping, no gel in my hair or wax or all that stupid stuff. I go there to remove hair. They charge me up to 20 euros for just removing hair. I once bought for, I think it was 15 or 20 euros. I bought a razor, electric. It's not a shaver. It's like for hair, with a thing you put on top of it, and these 20 or whatever euros saved me, accumulated several thousand euros of hairdresser costs, and I think I don't look too bad. This just looks bad because I haven't washed my hair in 2 days, but 2 days is usually fine. I do my own hair. Everything I can do myself, I do myself. I hate shopping for the life of mine. I don't go shopping for fun like other people do. Another part of my Asperger's is that it's hard for me to decide. This is I know it sounds like a very general statement, but it is for me a very general problem. This is a problem that affects every part of my life. You may hear that I'm talking a little bit slower. I need to search for words, if you would want to call it like that, because forming a sentence is a decision. Before a sentence is made, I know the meaning in my head, but to make the meaning into a sentence, it takes effort. I need to decide on the words I will say. This decision making is taking me great effort. So, every time I speak, or almost every time I speak, if it's not something I just remembered and basically recorded in my head and just playing it back, if I form a sentence that is and should be meaningful, like I'm talking to you right now, it takes a lot of effort for me. That's why I'm talking so slowly, but this affects everything. It affects what other people do, like the decision to what should I wear, this the stereotypical women's problem that they having a room full of clothes and nothing to wear. It is for me like that, but on a more elementary level. For me, it's not like I even have the idea of what to wear. Clothing is a completely different topic for me. Clothing is for me, I have to wear it because of two reasons: temperature control and social standards. Because let's face it, if it's above 25 degrees outside, I could go naked, and I don't feel very much shame in that regard, and that lack of shame is also part of my Asperger's, probably, or autism, however you want to call it, if you're modern or old-fashioned. And deciding on what to wear is the same thing. That's why I wear the exact thing every day. All my pants look the same. I don't know what it's called in English. It's my underpants. It's my what I wear between my pants and my skin. My underpants. It's in German. They all look the same. My socks all look the same. And at the moment I have only a single functioning pair of jeans. All other pairs are too small, too big, or have lots of holes in them, in very public places. Let's put it this way. Because I hate shopping, I don't go clothes shopping. So almost all of the clothes that I'm wearing right now and the clothes that are available to me in this house are not bought by me. They are, almost all are presents from my mother or from my girlfriend or other people that I used to know in my life that, basically donated clothing to me, because I said you can't walk around in holy clothes, like not holy in the likes of Pope, but having holes in them, because I also sometimes have problems with clothing moths. They eat little holes into here, not into synthetics but into cotton stuff, but I have a lot of with holes everywhere, and I don't throw them away because I don't have others, because I really hate shopping. It's again, the thing is, shopping is, I have to go there. If I want to go there, I need to go by car. I hate driving with my car. I have a great car, but I hate driving it. At least when other people are on the road. I need to decide what to buy, because there isn't a shop where you go and say, I want pants or trousers. They ask you, what kind of jeans do you want? I don't care. Jeans that fit me. I have a big ass. Literally, I have a very round, big bottom. And men don't usually have that. And I don't want to run around in female skinny jeans. So finding the right jeans for me is usually pretty hard and time consuming. And if you were shopping recently for clothes, these places are not very pleasant. They smell a lot because there's still some chemicals in the clothing from the factory that I don't wash out, or they are spraying artificial perfume around. It's usually very loud. A lot of customers, a lot of noise. The stores are usually not built very well, so a lot of concrete and metal that reflects noise, that creates a cacophony and audible that drives me crazy. And everything is extremely well lit. I hate bright lights, so I hope you can imagine why I hate shopping. And if you say, just buy it online, that would be the case if I could just buy it. There is no button like, okay, I would like to have this jeans and in a version that fits me, because there's no place, because if you have a 32 size jeans, every manufacturer makes them differently. This is never the same. The proportions are different for every manufacturer. That's great for people that want to spend their entire lives searching for clothes, but I have better things to do with my life. And that's why I wear clothes that are sometimes older than 10 years. I have also different size feet. I am a man, as you might imagine, and men usually have long, slim feet. I have short and broad feet. Not a lot of men have that. If I want to buy nice looking shoes for myself, I can usually, and they should fit me and not squeeze my feet to the point that I just from sitting around get swollen feet. Spend around $200 to $250 euros. Economically, for someone like me who doesn't care who he looks like, this is not feasible. It makes no sense to me to spend this amount of money for a pair of shoes that will be done unusable within 2 to 3 years and cost this much and this much pain to acquire, because I can't just go to a website and say, okay, these are my feet proportions, make me a shoe. And I don't want just the shoes that you can buy there. You can, if you have special sized feet, yes, you can buy shoes for streetwear or for business wear, but you can't buy sports shoes. There may be, it's the 21st century, maybe there is by now a company somewhere that makes exactly that, but for one thing, I don't know, and second thing, it's probably still a lot of effort just to get a pair of shoes. And I don't even want to wear shoes, but I have to because of culture. Yeah, and that's another thing. This video is fucking long, but that's another thing. I don't have a culture. I wouldn't say ordinary, but I have roughly ordinary parents, and they have adapted to the culture in this area here, and neighbors and family and people you see around, they have the typical German culture of whatever you define German culture in the 21st century. If you ask the wrong person, you might get an answer of, yeah, let's gas all, or let's throw out all foreigners, and the others are, yeah, let's welcome everyone. So from my point of view, there is no real German culture. Some people want to have a culture, but it's their culture. It's not everybody's culture. And since I have problems adapting to the society around me, if I don't do it in an active way, okay, these people wear this, these people say this, I should adapt to this. If I don't do that actively, I stick out, and I don't have a culture, and being neuro untypical, I don't even often feel human. I feel, autism is often called wrong planet syndrome. I can attest to that. It doesn't feel like I belong here, because this civilization, not this world, because I don't have problems with trees. Trees are nice. They are standing out there. They're doing no harm to anybody. They're just standing there. And the most important thing, they are silent. They don't move around. They don't make sudden movements. If they produce a smell, they smell over there, not here. And they are generally pleasant. Rocks and rock formations, also mountains, oceans, quite pleasant, I have to say. Often not too loud. they often stay where they are, and if they come to you, then it's often a rare occursion. Usually mountains stay in the mountains, and but civilization doesn't care about, often not even about itself. So I don't feel like I want to have much to do with civilization, and civilization is often also culture. It's there's no appeal for me to adapt to it. I have the same needs as every other human. I need to eat, I need to sleep, and I also need to socialize. I recognize that, but I need far less than other people. I need to work. Some people don't see that, but work is important. As a human, you need to do something. You need to produce something what at least you yourself seems meaningful. And if you do that, you are very close to average happiness. Enough sleep, enough eating, so you get all your vitamins and minerals and stuff, and having a decent job, some decent social interaction, and you are pretty good to go. I have the same desires, but a lot of other stuff way less, and that's why I'm still awake at almost 6 a.m. in the morning, because I need time to fill up my energy reserves. And these are energy reserves that other people fill up ordinary people fill up in a different way. I need time for myself. And not only for myself, I need this. And what I mean with this is silence. Absolute silence. And the not the knowledge, what is called, and knowing that nobody will disturb me. Nobody's gonna ring the bell. My girlfriend is not rushing into my room and asking me about the opinion of some random thing she just read on the internet. I can't fault her for that, because it seems that she's also neuro-untypical. Probably a reason why we function so well together as partners. But that's, I just need time for myself. And I know I can often seem quite self-centered, egocentric, but it's not that I want to only focus on myself. It's because I am the only thing I know. I can't put myself in someone else's shoes, so I can't imagine what they feel like, how they will react in a certain situation. That's why when I have a social interaction with someone, I never know how they will react. I've trained enough by now that I know, okay, this person is probably not gonna hit me randomly in the face because I said something strange, but I had some very unpleasant conversations in my life because I was not behaving normally. I was behaving in my way. I'm a very curious person, usually. I want to know new stuff, not especially other cultures or other people, but what's happening in the world, new scientific stuff. I'm interested in a lot of scientific topics. I don't focus on just programming or stuff. I focus on engineering. Recently, I got interested in civil engineering. With SpaceX, I got interested into rocketry, biology with the Thought Emporium. That's all stuff. Or for recently, it was sailing. Not like sailing a traditional sailing boat, but hydrofoiling and the just imagining a sailing boat reaching 70 kilometers per hour was mind-boggling to me. But yeah, just stuff like that. Also, I can talk for hours and hours on end without a conversation partner. That's also a thing that other people don't really appreciate, because a lot of people don't like to listen. And I can talk a lot, as you can see on the length of this video, and I think I'm not going to cut this video because it doesn't feel authentic. The pauses I did in this video just to form sentences in my head, or just to calm down and gather my thoughts, as you might want to say. These are the authentic me. To create new sentences, it takes time, especially sentences I never said before in this context, in this situation. Because sentences I say almost every day or multiple times a week. These sentences are easy, but if it comes to sentences I never said before, I really need to sit down, think. I need time for this, and I need capacity for this. I can't think if I have noises around me. Recently I visited my car shop. I don't know what it's called. Repair shop, yeah, to get a usual inspection, and that was in a really big hall, and there was a lot of reverb and echoes and stuff, and I couldn't probably properly focus on talking. I couldn't focus on listening to the other person, and these people communicated over several meters, like 10-20 meters with each other, and everything was reverbing and echoing, and I didn't understand anything. My brain can't filter out all that noise and filter out what the person said. It was just, yeah, I couldn't filter. I mean, yes, it's a typical problem for people with autism, but I just can't filter. That's why I need places without sensory stimulation. Yeah. And I found out that stimming, like the typical autistic stimming, is really helpful. I often have, I wouldn't say surges of aggression, but it's a kind of nervousness. It's kind of tension that comes up during the day if I think of something stressful, and just doing something physical. I'm just swinging my hand around, or doing this, like turning my hand like this. It's really relaxing. Probably something an ordinary person just can't connect to that like I do, but It's also something my girlfriend needs to get used to, because I'm sometimes just making random noises and random movements with my body just help me calm down. It's just like you see the typical autistic person in the old Hollywood movies, just sitting there rocking back and forth, back and forth, back and forth. It's really calming. Just like laying down with a weighted blanket. As I said, what usually took me about 1 to 2 hours just to calm down from shopping, I can do in 10 minutes with a weighted blanket. And that's a big improvement in my life. And if you are interested in life tips for autistic people, I have figured out some in my life right in the last few months. If you want to hear them, I can make more videos, more focus videos, and I promise edited and probably properly cut videos, because this video is really long, but it's also a really extensive topic. And yeah, that's why I can't make this into smaller videos, or say this in a shorter way, because just grabbing a bigger picture, just having the bigger picture is extremely hard for me. It would take me a lot of time just to make a proper video, and probably a lot of cuts and retries for just simple sentences. And yeah, that's energy consuming, and I don't have that energy. And I think we are just hitting the 2-hour mark, and yeah, I really think that this should be it. Yeah, if you made it until this point, you know a great deal more about me now that I knew about myself just half a year ago. Yeah, and if you do, don't feel sorry or something else for me, because how should I say it? It's not a problem if I know how to fix it and have the energy to fix it. And I think I did in the last few months the right decisions in my life to be able to fix most of the more pressing problems. That's like going grocery shopping less. I try to cut it down to go grocery shopping only once a week and doing bigger shopping. Yes, it's normal for some people, but I used to go shopping every day because I never knew what I needed that day, so I always went shopping for just what I needed in that moment. And planning for me is almost impossible. So what am I going to eat in 2 days? I don't know, and I will probably never know unless someone else makes my food for me. Yeah, planning is impossible for me. That's why I also don't look forward into the future. Yeah, there's probably like having hope for the future. I don't have that. I don't have hope. I only have now. I know what, and my memory is pretty horrible. and don't mean average, horrible, I mean really horrible. I don't know what happened yesterday. Don't know. Yesterday is as far away as 2 months ago. Yeah, and I don't look forward to certain things in the future, because I can't plan. Yeah, I'm just living in the here and now. But now that I know that, I think I can live a much happier life than I lived before. Yeah. So I hope this video wasn't distressing, because saying that if you look in the mirror, a stranger looks at you back. I imagine that there are some horror films about stuff like this, and I hope you don't imagine it like a horror movie. It's not for me in this way. But yeah, my life is a bit strange, and you just took a glimpse into that strange world. So yeah, I hope it wasn't too distressing, maybe a little bit enlightening. And if you are something that knows something, yeah, and also if you are something that knows me, please write into the comments. I haven't communicated with objects that much I think in my entire life, and if you're someone that knows me, yeah, you might know now why I didn't talk to you maybe in a decade. Yeah, old school friends or something. Why I haven't contacted you, because just thinking about contacting old schoolmates just stresses me out so much. Oh yeah, school wasn't easy for me, but that would be a really long topic. Longer than the video today. So, before I talk too much, I will cut it short. And yeah, I can't just say, if you have problems with your life, debug your life. Just step for step, analyzing your problem, taking it apart, and looking for unusual solutions. Yeah, it was good that my therapist went into the direction of just guessing maybe I could have Asperger's, and I am convinced I have it, for about 99.99%. I just haven't had an official diagnosis in the way of I go to an autism expert and he tells me, yes, you have autism. That hasn't happened yet, but if you know what Asperger's and autism is, and you've watched other videos by me, it's pretty obvious. So have a whatever rest of the day you have. I'm going to go to bed. It's now 6 a.m. and in a bathtub with champagne. Bye.